are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Well, welcome back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. You know, every now and then, I say, put your seatbelt on and fasten it because we have a show for you today to enlighten you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to help you find your purpose in life and be intentional on what you want to do in life. You have to learn to walk into it. And our guest today is going to just spark up so much to help you walk into the greatness that you were put here to do. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. Our title today is Fashion Equipped for Great Things. And just remember now, make sure you let your friends know we're on WBGR TV, on Roku TV. You can find us on Wednesday evenings from 5 to 6. And guess what? Also, 7:30 on Thursdays on YouTube. So go to our YouTube channel, The Marlene Cox Show, and subscribe. We're waiting to see you there. I am so excited today. I'm a little tongue-tied. It's amazing for me to be nervous. I'm a little nervous today. My guest today is fantastic. It is a blessing, but all of what she's going to say today is she's centered. And when I said centered, you know what I'm talking about. She's centered to him. So this is what's going to be amazing to see how we can walk. A lot of people think because we walk in the way that we can't be creative, that we can't have the careers that we want to have. We limit ourselves, and we have those little, what you call them, little check off boxes. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. That doesn't fit in. It all belongs to him. So wherever God is leading you into your destiny and for what you can do, whether it's in the fashion industry, whether it's in the entertainment industry and the film and all of the things that you can do, voice, whatever, you can walk into your greatness. But one of the things, as the lady said before, that you have to know who you are inside so that you can become what you need to look like outside. So all of those things work together. Remember, in our fashion, beauty, entertainment world, wherever you fit in, whether it's a commercial or you're an actor or you're a filmmaker, because you're going to hear from a great filmmaker today, wherever you fit in, you have to know who you are. And once you get that lined up straight, we can always paint a face on you. We can put the makeup on, do the hair, make the canvas look good, but that doesn't mean anything if we haven't dealt with this to help you get to the destiny that you were set to be. And I am just so excited today because our guest today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, but we're going to sit around this table. We're going to be right around we're sitting at the Thanksgiving table today. So just to paint a little picture, we're around the Thanksgiving table, me and Dr. Rhonda Cotton. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. This is a woman who has comes from a great lineage of success and expected to take you right to the place, even for your brand. She's been a model. She's been in film. She's a consultant for different companies. And one of the things that when I was looking at Dr. Cotton's resume, I thought, boy, so diverse, because she's in the film industry and become a model. She has her own company, and we're going to talk a little bit about her company and give you the name of that and let you even know how you can contact her if you need to contact her. But she equipped herself. And that's what I try to tell models. You have to look at the future. You're going to model, but then what? You're going to sing, but then what? You're going to be in a film, but then what? You have to be able to equip yourself if this is going to be your lived out long dream for your career and for your life. So Dr. Cotton is just amazing. Before I bring her in, she has performed as with artists, and she's a singer. Oh, I wonder if she'll sing us a little song today. You want to put her on the spot? Should I put her on the spot today? We'll see as we get into our conversation. She's in the entertainment world. I mean, it's just so much that she does. She's worked with BET, made films for BET. I mean, my God, it just goes on and on. This is a woman that had a purpose, had a destiny, and she took those talents and she walked in them. Not only did she walk in them for herself, she mentored others. So we're going to talk about her nonprofit organization today. What she does as far as mentoring the youth and the young, wherever they are in life, where they found themselves in life. So before I bring in Dr. Cotton, Rhonda, I had to get that right because I had another lady last week. Rhonda Cotton, DR in front of her name. Did you hear what I said? Because she's going to take us on a. Got your belt on? You on the roller coaster? Are you ready to go? So we're going to get ready to go out for a commercial, and when we come back, we will have my guest today, Dr. Rhonda Cotton.
You are watching The Marlene Cox Show.
I swear to God, if my stripper name wasn't Icy Hot, I would have, no, right now I got a divorce. I left Long John. Ain't easy being a parasite chick. My marriage is, anybody married? 13 people. But you know what? I just lost 250 pounds. I sent that Negro home to his mama's house. We can't do this no more, Raheem. Take that Xbox with you. I got one joke and I'm about to leave. And it goes like this. 3 women on Spirit. That's a whole new set. Y'all better book me to hear it. Pilot said, Mayday, Mayday, we are going down. 3 women said, oh my God, I can't believe this. Asian lady said, oh, wait a minute, you. Open up her purse, put on all her jewelry. White lady black lady said, what you do that for? Everybody know the rich can save her force. White lady said, oh yeah, watch this. Took off her bra, took off her shirt, boobs bouncing everywhere. They said, what'd you do that for? She said, sexy get saved first. Black lady said, are y'all ready? I said, what? She took off her pants, took off her panties, just stood there. They said, what'd you do that for? She said, because everybody knows when the plane crashed, they look for the black box first.
And we're back. You are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. And as I promised, I told you we had a guest today, Dr. Rhonda Cotton. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. It's
I'm
so great to have you
well,
here.
thank you for the invitation. It's my
thanks
pleasure.
for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, it's my pleasure for sure.
So we're going to just sit back and I want to talk a little bit about you and all of the wonderful things that you've done in life. You're the owner and founder of Cotton and Cotton Consulting Service, LLC, and you've done you have a ministry, R&R Ministry, which your sister Robin.
Yes.
I remember, so that's both of you R&Rs.
Yes.
The 2 R's, and the founder of the Great Grand Foundation, a nonprofit, which that blesses me because I love working with disadvantaged youth.
Yes.
And that is even before we get into the films.
Right.
And get into that. Tell us a little bit about any of that. Take us on the journey.
Growing up, I grew up in the church, participated in everything from drill team to sports to choir, part of the youth ministry, not pastor, but president of the youth ministry, my sister. So we did the, you go to the church conventions that they have, the big conventions, so we were a part of that. I was a director. For a lot of times when we went, my sister sung lead.
Wow.
And then we just, grew up together and just, you have a great imagination.
Yes.
So we did things that, singing, dancing, acting, all those things you do as kids when you're not watching TV. And in doing so, by the time I was like 7 or 8, I was imagining myself that I was a business person
Okay.
in entertainment.
Yes.
And I saw Susan DePass, that from
I
the
remember
manager of
her.
Michael Jackson, and
Yes,
with Barry
yes.
Gordy Management Company. And so I said to myself, that's who I'm going to be. I want to be an executive producer. I want to manage people. I want to do movies. And so at that time, I started writing my little story scripts, poems,
Wow.
or whatever.
At 7?
At 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so
Yes.
then after that, growing up, my father was the first African American male to do Hallmark cards. And back in the day, as I was explaining to your husband,
Yes.
if you ever receive, for those of you that are kind of older, than I am, they used to have Macy's catalog,
Yes.
Sears,
Yes.
JCPenney's,
Yes.
Jones Store. So my father was the first African American male to be in those catalogs in the
Wow.
men's apparel. And so because of him, me and my sister ended up with Hallmark cards as the first
Oh.
African American kids to be on a Hallmark card.
Okay. Okay.
And from there, it just continued to grow. But by the time I became a teenager, I was an athlete, honor student, all of those things. I was very shy, but I wanted to be able to public speak, to be able to have a conversation with people and be able
Yes.
to really engage. But my
What we're going to do, I think we got a little technical difficulty. We're going to hold off for just a minute.
Okay.
But I can't imagine that we're back on.
Okay.
See that? Millions of people are using the technology today, but we're back on the air. We had a little technical problem, but here we go back with Dr. Cotton.
Yes.
Your shyness. Isn't that
Oh, I'm an
something?
introvert.
Yeah.
I really am.
Okay.
So I'm good in my space, but I know that I can't stay in my space if I'm trying to do the will of God.
Yes, yes.
So I got to be willing to allow Him
Yes.
and the Holy Spirit to enter to do whatever needs to be done on His behalf. So me going to the modeling agency, I researched it. It was called Nancy Bounds. It's no
Now, where
longer
was she
around.
located? That
She was
name sounds familiar.
she was in Nebraska.
Oh,
Yeah.
so is that where you grew up? In that
No,
area?
so I'm from the Midwest, but she was in Nebraska.
Okay.
So she put a school in Overland Park, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
So when she put the school in Overland Park, Kansas, I went for an interview because at that time they would have you interview.
Yeah, I remember those
not,
days.
Not
yes.
just come into I want to be a star, but
And
you
with
had
your little
to
book,
right.
with
But
all
you
your little
had-
makeup
yes.
on. No, they didn't
But
do it
you
like
had
that.
to
yeah.
interview, and so I went in and I interviewed, and I told them what my purpose was. And at the time, I was in school, but I was working as well, so I was paying for myself to go to take the classes.
Yes, yes.
And that's how it started. So she's the one that actually really, really pushed me into the fashion industry because I was just going for personal development.
Yes.
But she saw something in me that I hadn't really seen in myself. I wasn't even thinking about. And so that was being in the modeling and fashion
But
world.
you said something, Dr. Cotton, that I think is so key. What she saw in you. And, you know, even in our Maya modeling agency, that's the key. And I don't know if you were around the time of the Motown when Diana Ross and all them started, but I remember I was a teenager. And I remember those times when Mr. Gordy, and I've never forgotten it, when they would come to his agency, they could sing and do all that.
Right.
First thing he did was put them in finishing school.
Yeah.
I think that's
Prep.
so important that they get the
Yes.
finishing.
You have to. I think a lot of times what we have now in the world and with the people that are wanting to be in entertainment, they fashion themselves out of people that they're mirroring from.
Yes, yes.
But you're not always copying the right cat.
yes.
So you end up with some of
that.
the same behaviors that the people you're actually trying to be like.
Oh, that's good.
So until you know who you are, you can't really go out and be the best person that God's called you to be, even in an industry that is so corrupt, because
Yes.
you're still copying the wrong cat. So we, and even with a lot of people that I know, you have to go and get some type of personal development just so you can be comfortable with you.
There you go.
Because when you're comfortable with you, you don't settle for less.
You don't settle for less.
And nobody can back you into a corner.
There you go.
Because-
and that's the see. as you're taking us through your journey, I just want to stop there because I really want to make sure they're hearing this. And we express that a lot in the Maya Modeling Talent Agency. You have to be confident in who you are. First, you got to be confident. You got to be centered in God.
Yes, yes,
you got to be
100%.
centered. And then you got to be confident in yourself. And I think they confuse confidence with makeup and hair.
Right.
And that's not confidence. That's a cover up. That's a canvas.
Well, it's called a mask.
A mask. Yes. Exactly.
You got
That's
a nice, good mask on.
Yes. And not dealing with the
No,
inside.
and the inside is what you have to deal with. One of the things growing up, and I was sharing with Mr. Cox yesterday, my grandparents and great grandparents, and even my dad and mom, they always talk about all you have is your name and your word.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So growing up, for me, I was always making sure that I was not doing something to demean the name of my family.
Amen.
And my word meant what it meant, whether people liked it or not.
Yes.
It was who I was going to be, and I wasn't going to be apologetic because I was comfortable with me. And so now we have all of these children growing up. I was probably the 5th or 6th generation born. Now we have babies, they don't even have maybe 1 or 2 good generations that's born. So the difference in what I experienced and what they're experiencing now are totally different.
And you see it. You're right there in the midst of it. You make films.
You see everything.
You know, you make films. You're a consultant.
Yeah.
And I guess as I look at that as you're speaking, Dr. Cotton, who is it's going to take us to give them that, because there's no one there to give them that. You know, they got the talent. Okay, we deal with that. We can teach you how to breathe and sing and all of that.
Yes.
But the other side of, you said something just hit me, because I went back to my grandparents and my mom and dad. Your word was your bond.
Yes.
Your word, what you said, you meant what you said.
And people respected you, whether they liked it or not. They still would respect you because they knew that was who you were. Even to this day, the people that are around me know that no matter whether it's Dr. Cotton, Miss Rhonda, whatever, Rhonda Cotton, whatever they ask me is going to be the truth.
Yes.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And sometimes it's to the point that I'm trying to punch you in the gut because I can make you think if I get you to feel like you're being hurt.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just we're always trying to mind somebody's feelings.
Yes.
But what if you minding somebody's feelings is causing them to not get to where they need to go?
Ooh, you just said something. We do a pageant. The last one we did was just before COVID. And it's a fashion pageant for fashion models.
Right.
We did the whole DMV. And one of the young ladies who actually made it to the finals, I'll never forget this. I keep in touch with that young lady today. When she got up and was speaking to the judges, she said, if I had not got involved in this, when I came to this, it kind of turned my life around, because we talked about inside.
Right.
She said, because I was getting ready to commit suicide.
Wow.
And she was cute, petite.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm telling you, it was and I'm standing back there, and all you can do is get the tears.
Wow.
This nice little college kid, nice background, nice parents, and there was so much going on in her life, she said. And when she came in, she thought it was going to be all what she's seen, but she saw something deeper.
Yes.
And that's where we come in.
Yeah.
We have to give, and this young girl, she's finished college, she's working on her master's
That's great.
now. She said, and when she said it to the judges, I think everybody's mouth dropped. She was getting ready to commit suicide. And there's so much pain and hurt. And you know, sometimes people want to narrow that to a certain location of people. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. In the industry, you will find people that have gone through a lot. You have people that, you know, they end up homeless. They, you know, they give of themselves to the point that they don't understand who they are because they're always following what somebody's telling them to do. So when you become a person that other people dictate your move, how you do things, how you talk, and then you don't rely upon God to help you with that, you have to always be the person somebody else wants you to be.
Yeah. Amen.
That is not what God has called us to be. But because we get so caught up in the image of things and we don't realize that the image of who you are relies in the creator.
Yes.
You know, I was sharing with I don't know why I want to call your husband Dr. Cox, but
He's on his way there, but not yet.
but I was sharing with Mr. Cox yesterday that part of who you are is based off of what you understand about you.
Right.
When you get a good grasp of history of your culture, your family, the background you come from, the struggles that they made so that you can be here, ancestors.
Yes.
Prior to. Your DNA is your DNA, so we can't negate that. It is exactly what
It's what it is. I like
but
that.
what you do with the DNA, it's all on you.
Yes.
But what do you know?
Yes. But if you don't know, because then we have a generation of children having children and children.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of that.
You know, all of that kind of stuff. And I remember when I was just growing up, and I remember, I couldn't remember coming back to my family home in Wilmington, and I had moved in another part called Newcastle at that time, and I was always visiting my parents. But this one time I happened to come back, and it struck me. And I said to my mom, "What happened over there?" It was another section of neighborhood. Mom said, "Oh, that's what they call the projects."
Right.
I said, "The projects, my parents owned their home." But the difference was when I grew up, my parents owned their home. You had that section of homes. Those people took care of that. There were a lot of groups of people who came up from South to work for General Motors and Chrysler, because that was the big, and they lived there long enough to save their money to buy a home.
Yes.
It wasn't a generational pattern.
Right.
And they were, and that's what our kids they're not getting that.
They don't.
They're just not getting that. And
Well, we're not showing, we have a lot of people that they feel that they've made it, of color, and once they've made it, they're too important to even come back and, help the other kids or help a community or just to be present, because that's what you need to do. You need to be present so that they know that, okay, yes, I may start out like this, but I am going to be able to get out because I see someone who's done it. I'm not stuck. So if I'm not stuck, that means I have a chance to survive. I have an opportunity to move forward. And that's why having other people that see you like God sees you makes a difference in your life. And that's what Nancy Bounce did for me. She saw me as God saw me. And then she was able to push me, and push me in a way that I was like, what in the world? Sometimes it didn't feel good.
And it's so, our stories are similar. And when you say that, there was a lady, and matter of fact, they look just alike. She was a younger version of Susan, what's her last name?
Susan DePass.
DePass, with this young lady, her name was Barbara Edmonds. And we worked for Johnson Products out of Chicago, so she trained us.
I know Miss Barbara.
Barbara, where is she?
I don't know where she's at, but I know.
I would love to see her because, let me tell you why I would love to see her. I was a little girl, I always say, a little girl from the country, from Wilmington, Delaware, owned my first salon. And a Jewish guy saw me, and he said, "You are what we're looking for in the industry." And he took me to 2 different companies. But the first company hired me was called Firmerdale, and that was out of Belgium. Long story short, next thing I knew, I was in Belgium. But after that, I ran into this lady named Barbara Edmond. And Johnson Products at that time, everybody who don't know, Johnson Products in the day was Ultra Sheen, but we were producing new products called Precise. And a different line. And I became part of that team.
So this is a crazy story because Mr. Johnson used to be one of my sponsors when I was in my group in Chicago when I was back home. He was one of our sponsors.
Now we talking about George Johnson, the product one or the publication?
No, the product.
Yep,
the product.
So you know Barbara Edmonds because she was the she took this little old country girl, 23 years old, and turned me into something I never thought I could be. You know what I mean? And Mr. Johnson was one of your sponsors. Oh my God, he took my little life and put me out there on stage, and I became working with chemists, developing products and things of that nature. And the next thing I knew, I was 21 of people in the country who represented his company in education and training. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've worked with both of the Johnsons. One, I was the centerfolding jet for the magazine
Jen.
company.
You were? What year? I gotta find you. What year? Because I'm gonna find your Hallmark card too. I'm gonna find your
And then,
Hallmark card.
working with Mr. Johnson with the haircut, he was one of our investors for our group that that I had back then. Yeah.
Wow. He was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only was he amazing, and I mean, my parents did a good job. We were, because it was only 4 of us, so most families back then had 8, 10, 12, 13 kids.
A lot of kids.
So 4 was like having 2 today. So
Right.
we were kind of spoiled.
Yeah.
And I thought I saw something. Child, till I met Mr. Johnson and Barbara Edmonds of the
Right.
world, Okay, you're going to be in Chicago today. Your ticket is at the ticket counter. Pick it up, and then when you get there, they'll have your name. The driver will pick you. And I'm like, oh my God, is this real? I would leave my hometown in Wilmington, girl. Hear this. Pinch myself. I had $20 in my pocket. That's all I had. I didn't have to pay for nothing. Mr. Johnson took care of everything. Put us up in the best of hotels. Fed us, took care of us.
Everything.
I didn't have to do nothing. And I would come back home with that $20 because I didn't have to spend a penny. Changed my whole world of thinking.
And that's called when you can expose someone to things that are not their norm. It opens their eyes to the possibility of what they can do. And a lot of times when we're not being exposed, then we think that where we're at is where we're supposed to be. So in 2019, in 2018, I had lost several family members, about 9 family members, to natural causes. Nothing horrific or crazy, but 2019, because I had held that in, I ended up having a nervous breakdown.
Okay.
And when I had my nervous breakdown, I had to take a sabbatical from work. And so when I took the sabbatical, the Lord said, I'm going to redeem the years and the promises for you. And I was like, well, what is that? And he said, childlike faith. So when he told me childlike faith, what I went back to is, as a child, what I had asked God. And he basically kind of having a covenant with him about what I want to do when I get grown, and that was to have a company, be able to be an executive producer, produce music, movies, all of that. And so when he said that, I'm thinking, well, I don't know how that's going to happen, because that's not the world I'm living in right now.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to 2020, one of my friends that actually owns the company that I'm a part of is called Megamind Media, here in the DMV. She asked me to actually just be the chaplain for the company, because it is a Christian-based company. So I told her, yes, that I would do that. But then when COVID hit, then we had to switch gears. So now I go into doing the logistics as far as COVID, producing, locations manager, wearing all these other hats. And it was comfortable for me to do it because I had been in the industry already.
Let's go back to the COVID thing, because I remember my daughter, my oldest daughter, she was still doing films. And they were flying the main actors out of California in New York, to Baltimore.
Right.
And they would have, and I'm wondering if this is the same thing that they would have a COVID outbreak, because they actually were doing on set, they were like in spacesuits.
Yeah.
And they would have a COVID breakout, shut down everything.
It did.
And shut down everything. They cleaned the whole building before they come back in.
The one good thing for us, I never had that issue, because I'm real, they call me the mother on the set, because I'm very, very, keen on making sure we follow protocol. And when you're talking about other people's lives and the things that are happening, you don't want someone to end up missing an opportunity because you're not following protocol. So we follow protocol all the time to make sure.
Did you test them?
I test all the. They were so sick of me.
And that's what would happen. It wasn't the locals. It wasn't the locals. A lot of the times it was the people they flew in from LA.
No, you couldn't fly in to come see and be on our set without sending me a test first.
But they've done that, and then Mia said. And then they come in, they send a test. I mean, was it their test?
Yeah.
And then they end up on set, and now the whole thing shut down.
Yeah, sometimes I would have to take and ask, send someone wherever their location was to go test them for me.
Oh, yeah.
But they knew they could not, you couldn't get on the plane before I got a test. And as soon as you got here and got landed, I was
Right there.
Yeah,
Because that was a big thing during
and
that
it
whole
was
COVID.
because you don't know. Like people have the whole mindset about the COVID thing. People chalking it up to think that it was something like it's a flu. Well, now it may be considered because we have more awareness and understanding, and we have actual medication that can help.
Yes.
But back then,
It was-
it's not. It wasn't that way. But the problem was that people walked around as if they didn't care.
Yes.
So you have people that are on sets that are going home to their parents, going home to their kids, going home
Yes.
to their wives and their, and their husbands. And if they catch it, it's an outbreak in their whole household.
Yes,
So
yes.
now you're actually causing an issue for someone that
A
didn't
whole
have the
family.
issue before they came. So COVID, as much as people didn't like it, it was definitely needed because people were so lackadaisical in their attitude about it.
Yes.
And so, blessed that we didn't have to shut down, because whether they liked it or not,
Yeah, you
they
have
were
to stand
they were
your
getting
ground.
tested about 4 or 5 times a
We
week.
were blessed. We open our business in Frederick once a month for in-house training, and then we do the other training on Zoom. And we tested. I mean, we never had to shut down. We took the information from the people. We did all the things that you're supposed to do.
Right.
And we never. And of course, back then we were still wearing masks.
Right.
We were still wearing masks. And you just have to take those precautions because even now, just real quick, and before we go out on our next commercial break, I was in the mall one day recently, and I had on a mask. When I go out in public, look, I'm retired. I ain't trying to get sick.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep and I'm on to do the medication that the Lord gave us to keep us
take,
well.
yeah.
Because I'm gonna take it. I'm a holistic person. I don't usually take medication, but I was not playing with COVID.
Right.
COVID was nothing to play with. And the lady literally. But see, people don't understand people's conditions. She didn't know whether I was going home to a baby who was sick, or a husband that might have been sick, or my mother.
Right.
You have to take the precautions for the people that you're around.
Yes.
Because some people are very sensitive.
Yes.
And someone who's very ill, it might not be COVID, but you can bring a germ in that house and make them so
Exactly.
sick that you put them in the hospital.
Truly.
And we have to be really careful and be respectful of other people. You don't know their reasons for what they do.
Right.
That's their business.
Yeah.
Mind your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100.
That's right. But Dr. Kyle, we're going to go off for another.
Okay.
We're going to go into a commercial. This has been wonderful. And when we come back, we're going to dive right into the field world.
Okay.
The world of them. So we're going to get ready to go out for our next commercial, and we'll be right back.
You are watching The Marlene Cox Show.
Rita by Wallace and Posey.
And we're back. are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Well, welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. Whew. Did you guys take a deep breath? So much good information. So much good information. But Dr. Cotton,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are back now, and we're going to dive into the world of film. And you've been in the fashion and entertainment about 35 years?
Over 35
Over
years.
30,
Mhm.
over 35 years.
Yes.
So let's dive into that world of film and fashion. What directions is it going? Is it, global? Can you get into it from a local level? Do you have to be in New York or LA or Chicago or whatever? Dive in there.
Well,
for
you
us.
don't have to be in those places in order to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things now that are out online, different casting companies that are out online that you can actually just upload your photo and your resume or bio to them, and then they will, notify you if they have any interest or they feel you may have a role that you can play in a film. So that's the good thing about, now having all the social media platforms that we have. Back then when I was doing it, we didn't have all
We
this.
had none of that.
No. So when you were asked to be somewhere, someone wanted you, an agency would really sign you up, and then they would move you, relocate you to where the agency was so that you could actually really work in that industry in that city. So for me, when I went to Europe, it was an agency called Vogue that wanted me there. So they talked to my agent, Miss Nancy, and then from there we made a deal, got my passport, and then I went off over there to do the couture and pret-a-porter and showroom. And
Wonderful.
those things are like, what Fashion Week is in New York and in LA, it's the same thing over in Europe. They just call it the couture.
Couture, because Europe,
Yeah.
they tailor, finish,
Yes.
complete, and fashion materials and stuff of that nature. So that's how that kind of got started with you, and then you moved in. And because models and talent and entertainers, whatever
Yes.
they are, they need to know that there's a long career here. You started
It
out
is.
modeling,
Yes.
as far as the
I
beauty
did.
industry is, and
Yeah.
then you went from modeling to
I went from modeling to the music industry,
okay.
singing with a couple of groups.
you sang,
I
you sing.
I do
You
sing.
sang. You sing.
Used
you sang.
to. I'm
You
retired
lead or
now.
lead or
Lead and both lead
Oh, yeah.
and background.
I wanted
Harmony,
to sing so much.
all of that.
I can't sing a lick, but in high
Yeah.
school I had a group and they let me be the lead, but the background were really the voice.
Yeah, but no. So that's what how I started, because I did music growing up as a
Yeah.
child, in high school and in choir at church. So you this is what I was doing all the time.
Yeah.
So it was just one of my gifts. So it's like the whole, when the Bible says your gifts will make room for you.
Yes.
That's
yes.
exactly how I look at it. That
Yeah.
whatever the gifts and talents I had, the Lord just used them and they made room for me.
Yeah.
So I don't think about it, because I'm like, if the Lord puts something there before
It's
me,
for you.
then it's for me. I just need to work on it and just keep going.
Going on it.
But in the industry, if you are trying to, or you're aspiring to be an actor or model or get in the music industry, it's good to always be able to shadow first. Shadow the people that you are trying to model after.
Okay.
Because sometimes, as I say to people, you can't get to your destiny or get to where you're trying to go if you can't serve the people sitting in your seat.
So explain, tell them what shadowing is.
So shadowing is a person that comes in, like on our film, on our sets, we have interns. We use a lot of Bowie interns that work with us, and they come in, and so whatever it is called a PA. And so a
Yes.
production assistant, and they actually do a lot of the leg work. I would say back of the house work. This is what
Yes.
they do. So they're the ones that really help keep the wheel going when you're on a set filming a movie. So being a PA or someone's assistant that you
Yeah.
can assist them and learn from them will help you understand one business to your craft.
Yes.
But if you're always trying to be the one in front and you can't serve in the back, more than likely you're going to have a hard time staying in the front because you don't understand the back.
You don't know how to do that. Yeah, you got to be able to know when to exit and let someone else be in the
And
front.
you
going to the back.
do.
Yeah,
You do.
Now, then when you deal with interns, because that's something that we've done some work with, how does that work? Because I know, like, a lot of the local TV shows on some of the other channels, they do a lot of interns because they have a well-known name.
Right.
People will go in and intern for them, and that's not a problem. They're getting that background. But a smaller company, this will be a little different. So is there money involved that makes the difference?
So interns, what happens is if you're like at a Bowie State or Howard University here, and you're in the performing arts department, that's where you're going to school. This is where you're going to get a degree out of. They need credits. They need internship credits. So normally it's about an average, maybe about 60 credits that they have to have.
Yes, about 60.
And so because they have to have credits, then they're willing to really want to come and learn. So we get the students that, have to have this internship because they need the credits in order to graduate.
Okay. So do you actually go to the schools and do nursings, or because we had two from Howard, we had some from Howard, but they just came to us. And what was your
So
procedure?
how we obtain the interns is that several people that are within the company, especially the CEO, they are all graduates of Bowie State.
Oh.
So they have this really great relationship. So what happened is we started partnering. We have a partnership with Bowie State. So because of our partnership, then whatever we're doing, we look to always try to make sure that we can partner with them and, helping the students. So like right now I have about 7 students that are doing interns with us where I meet with them on a regular every Friday.
Okay.
And we just talk about things, or I give them assignments, or the CEO would give them assignments that they need to complete and then get back to us, because you want to know the skill set of the people that you're working with. You want to know what their weaknesses are and what their strengths are. And you want to help them work to that. You don't want anyone to have a strength in one thing and a weakness, and you're trying to push the weakness, because you're not going to get the best out of the person. And when people feel like they're not giving you their best, they feel like they're failing.
Good point.
So now they stop really being engaged, or they stop wanting to do things because they don't want to fail at whatever it is that they're doing. So you kind of work toward the strengths and then start incorporating the weakness so that they can really start understanding so that they can do it.
That's a good point. Thank you. Just gave me a lesson, because I've been trying to work that intern, PA. We had a few PAs, like I said, but that's a good look at it from that perspective and doing that. So tell me some of the other things that happened in film. When you started out, were you like a PA, or you just got right into?
So when I first got into the film industry, I was young. I was on a couple of shows as a regular person. In the background, I had some friends that were doing movies, so I would take a lead role doing their movies. And then for me, I'm not being out in the front is not a huge thing for me.
Okay.
So I kind of sometimes, that's the introvert. I want to be behind the scenes so people don't see me. I do what I need to do and make it happen, but then I'm gone about my business. But that's how I started out many years ago, being young, doing some movies, being, living in Hollywood and, being on the sets, doing stuff there. I had a great casting company that really, found me work.
Okay.
So I was able to work a lot. And then when I started having children, that's when my mindset switched, because I didn't want my children to be dealing with that, with a mother that's not home, and traveling all over the place.
I get you.
So that's when I decided to just go into hospitality.
That
So
was interesting.
How
did you leave? That's how you went in. Once you start your family, everything changed. Your children, they're the priority at that time.
Right.
So that's how you got it. Because I was reading, I'm like, she got into hospitality. But hospitality is lifestyle, and people in the film industry do lifestyle.
Yes.
So it all blends in.
So it all blended. I went into hospitality because growing up, I had friends that were in politics, being around all of these people that would be considered VIPs or really celebrities. At a young age, I got a lot of exposure, and because of that exposure, it kind of helped me mature a little more than what a lot of my friends might have matured at. And so when I decided to, God decided that I would go into hospitality. And so he gave me a dream one night. The next day when I got up and looked in the newspaper and saw this hotel, I went, and everything that happened in the dream happened at that hotel.
So you know that
so
was
I
for
knew
you.
that's what I was supposed to do.
That's what he was sending you.
And that's where he was sending me for the time. And so that's how I got into hospitality. But I loved it because, one, you meet people. Again, everything goes back to me people. Doing what God says do. Yeah. Because if you understand that your purpose is not your passion, it's the two different things. And a lot of times people try to put the two together, but they're two different things. Purpose is what God calls you to do. Passion is what you want to do. So I had to understand that my purpose was to serve God.
You need a workshop just on that.
Yeah.
People need to understand that. Because a lot of times you find yourself in life, and I'm quite sure some of our models and talent and different people, this is my passion. I go to sleep. I don't never have to get paid to do it. It's just my passion. But never is something is working out for me. But this is what I love. I know this is what God wants me to do. Because the difference.
There's a difference. There is a true difference. Because when you actually are working on your purpose, God puts you in position to also share your passion.
Yes. I love that.
But it's two different things.
You going to do a workshop?
Now that you're saying something, I might need to do a workshop.
Make sure you contact us if you want to be involved. Make sure you contact us because it's a need. Two little words.
Yes.
Powerful words that people just
mix up. Yeah. Mix up all the time.
Mix up, and it's so needed.
Yeah.
And that's a starting place. We want to get with the youth. We want to explain to them how you can understand your passion and your purpose.
Yes.
You went from a model. You sung in the choir. You have your nonprofit. You work with youth. From there, he took you into hospitality. After the filmmaking and back into the filmmaking.
Yes.
Sitting on different boards, being the president, CEO of your own company. They need to know how that all works, and they don't.
And
they don't have that piece. They don't have that piece. That piece is important.
And that's why, with dealing with youth, the one thing for me is I always, being this little girl that's still on the inside of me, having some childlike desires. And so with that, as kids, you grow up and you're always looking at other kids that don't look like you.
Yes.
They don't live in the same household you live in.
Yes.
But when you see something different that's not right, you're wondering what is going on.
Yes.
So for me, I'm always wondering when I see people, what's happening?
Okay.
How's their life?
Yes.
What are they going through?
Yeah, because
and when you understand that, then now for me, my deal is I don't have to know you to love you. Because the unconditional love that God gives me to give you will help you understand who you are or who you're coming into, and the fact that I can offer you something and don't want nothing.
Yes.
And that's the stuff.
Isn't that a peace, though?
But it is.
You feel so good inside when you can just do that and you're not looking for nothing in return.
You can walk away, be yourself, and know that you added value to someone. Because I believe that when you add value to someone else, God adds value to you.
Back to you. And that's almost like my old saying. I was sharing with a group of youth one time. And I said, ball your fists up. Tight.
Yeah.
And your circulation is stopping, right?
Yeah.
You got to open it up so God can put something in there.
Yeah.
Same type of principle. Same type of principle.
Yeah,
same type
and that's
of
very important.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes. So same type of principle. So that, I'm telling you, this is so great. We're going to get ready to go out to our next commercial.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to have some more talk with Dr. Cotton on dealing with your purpose, understanding the difference between your destination and your purpose in life, and making sure that you center. And there was something you said in the beginning of the show I thought was so, it was on it. And I know Corey's going to get me from that. But we got to get to that. It says, where is God in all of this?
Yeah, where is he?
Where is he? Where is he in
that's-
all of this that we do in this industry?
is he?
Because we're in a crazy industry now.
We are.
We see all kinds of
We are.
nutty stuff, and what is going on with them,
Yeah.
you know? And people think because they're acting up like that or doing simple, crazy thing, this is all a part of the industry. It's only because they don't know who they are.
Yeah,
They don't know who
exactly.
they are.
And it's true. You have people that are, you know, they're wanting to be, they're wanting to be other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're not sure about who you are, you
Yes.
got to ask yourself the question, and you got to spend time with you. Like sometimes you got to just sit down and do an inventory of you.
Of your own self.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to know if you're going right or left. You
Yes.
have to do an inventory of yourself. But you also can't be envious or jealous of
Oh,
what
my God.
other people are doing. So when you're watching a Beyonce or a Jay-Z or some of these other people that are
Yes.
out here, and you're wishing to, you know, be in their shoes, you're asking to do something and you don't know the cost that it's taking them to get
Ooh,
there.
my goodness, the cost.
So now you're trying to be something, but you can't handle. Everybody's not equipped to walk out the same destiny.
the same destiny.
So your destiny, your call, whatever you're good at is different than someone else's. Doesn't mean that God doesn't want you to have the best.
Yes, yes.
But can you wait for him to give you what he wants to give you?
for that
Not
best.
what you're sitting there trying to make up for yourself.
So- and that's a good point too, because
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with looking at people, stars, the Beyoncés of the world, the JCs of the world, the Oprahs of the world,
Yes.
and all of those people of the world. But we have to wait on what the Lord gives us
Right.
to walk through that.
Exactly.
And that's what people don't understand the cost, just like you said. And I never forget Jennifer Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget our interview she did years ago. I don't know if it was with Oprah or who, but when she first got started, remember, she wasn't even the winner.
No,
She wasn't even the winner.
No.
And she went on to say, and people would say, oh, instant success. No, I listened at that interview. She started singing in church,
Very young.
cruise ships,
Mm-hmm.
weddings. She was prepared. And some people think, oh, I want to be this person. First of all, let it line up with the Lord to see. But are you preparing yourself for the opportunity when the opportunity comes
Yeah.
along? You just don't, because mommy and daddy say you can sing. That don't mean nothing out there in the
Stop
real
believing
world.
in your parents. telling some of y'all the wrong thing.
Oh,
Stop
she can
believing in-
sing. Oh, we're gonna put her out there or him out there.
No.
And they might sound good. It was like I had my older son always wanted to be a lawyer, and that's his thing. He takes that gift that he has in that area into the real estate world.
Right.
But and I said it's just like anything else. It's nice that everyone in the family always thought that you were going to be a lawyer.
Yes.
And he loves to read. I said, but you have to prepare yourself. To the family, oh, listen at him. He got a good argument over there. 10 years old. He's not.
Right.
That's fine, but that don't mean anything if you haven't went through the proper training.
Right.
And first of all, you ain't lined it up with the Lord.
Right.
But you have to prepare.
You have to
because the word. I don't know. You help me with this. My thought is always God has something for you, but I do believe as He has it for you, He's preparing us for it. Right?
Right. So this is a scripture here.
Okay, go
It says,
ahead.
now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think according to the power that works in us.
Us. Yes.
So where's your power?
yes. Through Him. In us.
And if you don't know that you have power in him
Right.
and that you rely on him, then you don't have any power when you're really trying to do something in your own will.
Yeah.
Because we all get upset because now we want to go and we want to
Yes.
take this trip, we want to do this, we want to have this company. But not one time have we stopped to think about or pray and ask God, is this what you want me to have?
I got to do more of that.
Yeah.
I'm guilty.
Is this what you want me to have?
Really, and my thing is like, Lord, you know I love you and you love me and I'm your little girl and you know this is what I want. So let's come on now, help me out here. No, and that's not the prayer.
No.
That's not the
No.
prayer. And we be honest with ourselves. You can't correct it if you're not honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be honest with yourself, okay? Okay. And so we have to do those type of things in order to do it. And I love this conversation because what young people say, and I know how I was growing up as a young person, grew up in the church, you know.
Right.
And now, this is so funny. I was teaching at adult education. I did one at the beauty school.
Okay.
And then I taught continue ed at one of the junior colleges in Washington County. And and the people, they just come. They don't. There's no foundation. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to get into a whole ethnic thing or whatever, because I know we have a broader. But I remember in my classroom, and the kids were coming into my classroom, and it's a mixed group. Everybody, but the thing that shocked me more than anything else, and it probably shocks other groups of people, when my Afro American students would come to my talk about they don't go to church. What's that? I couldn't imagine not knowing that, because we went whether we didn't like it or not. That was part of your everyday life growing up, and that shocked me that they did not even have that. And then as I started talking to some of the other different young people in there, the Jewish church students, some Asian students, some of my Caucasian students, and just to hear their conversation. Well, my parents did that, but we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You were going. No. You were going to go.
Yes.
And my parents is when some of that's going to fall down on you, like it or not.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I was like in a different world.
Well, that's because everybody out here talking about everything but God. And so they use God so loosely, and now they want to call him the universe.
Yeah, that's the new word.
So yes. I'm like, well, hello, who made it?
Who made it? Who made it? Yes.
You know, so you can say whatever you want to say, but he is who he is. You cannot negate that. So, but you have to have a lot of this is where maybe people that were growing up, depending on their age group, when they were growing up and had to go to church and all the time, and then they get older, they say, well, I'm not going to do that to my children. I'm not going to make them go to church. They can make a decision if they want to or not. And so now we have kids that don't have a foundation. They don't know who it is. And then when things happen, they don't know how to just say Jesus.
Yeah.
One simple word.
But you talk about, and we got to get ready to go out on a break, but let me just say something. You said they don't have a foundation. We know the first foundation is Jesus.
Yes.
So if they don't have that first one, they still don't have the family foundation.
Yes.
Because you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So they just lost.
They
have nothing there but sinking sand, because parents haven't given them anything.
No.
To be solid. So
But you can't give something you don't
have. There you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm talking to Dr. Cotton right now, and we're going to be right back. We're getting ready to go out on our next commercial, and we'll be right back.
You are watching The Marlene Cox Show.
Rita by Wallace and Posey.
And we're back. You are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Guess what? We're back, and guess where we're back, and we're getting ready to go back out again. Because guess what, Dr. Cotton?
Yeah.
It is time for something that we do special on the Marlene Cox Show every week, and it is called "It's Time for Tips and Toodles." Right back. Okay, and we are back with some tips. So, Dr. Cotton,
yes,
Dr. Rhonda Cotton, thank you so much for being a guest with me today. It's been an enlightenment for me. Can you give us a few tips that you would leave our audience with based on our conversation today?
First thing I would say is spend some time with God. That's the first thing, and it doesn't have to be a big elaborate prayer. A lot of times when you really need God, all you say is, "Hey, can you help a sister out? You know, he knows what you're talking about. Nobody else do.
Yes.
God knows.
Yes.
Secondly, just be open to having mature people. For those of you that are young, having mature people speak to you and correct you when you are not right. There's a lot of things that you will realize that you don't know, but if you're not willing to allow somebody else to correct you lovingly,
Yes. Loving.
not disrespectfully, but lovingly, you can never be, you're not going to grow. That's what I'm going to say. And if you're trying to get into the industry, you have to be able to follow instructions and directions. This is an industry, whether it's in fashion, music, or film, that you have to be able to listen, you know. And then just get in, you know, even as adults. We have a lot of women that are part of a mentee group that the CEO does, and they come in on their own dime. They'll fly in so that they can intern with us or just be on the set to just learn the business. They're writers. They're wonderful writers. Several of them have movies out already that we've done, and some do their own movies, but they will come in just to sit under, you know, what's going on so that they can learn the business.
Well, tell them the name of the company that you...
So my company is called Cotton & Cotton Consulting Services, and I do consulting for hospitality and entertainment. I have what's called the Great and Grants Foundation for Disadvantaged Youth, so I want to really instill a lot of the morals and values that I grew up with, and then help kids understand that they can really make it. The company that I work with in film is called Megamind Media. We're local here in the DMV. They've been around. Miss Smallwood started the company in 2004 as a writer. She wrote her very first book. And then from there in 2015, produced her first film.
Wow.
And so just been going. So since since COVID happened, we actually have done about 30 projects.
Wow.
Just within, you know, since 2020. And again, with the company, it's a Christian-based company, so we pray about everything.
Everything you do.
Everything we do, we pray about. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Cotton, and we're going to... this was a wonderful show. Man, we're going to have her back again on the Marlene Cox Show, but we're going to wrap it up, and our preview for next week's show is going to be talking about A Moment with Maya. So that's going to be a great time, so look out for that, Dr. Cotton. Thank you so much. May I have a hug?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, and we get ready to wrap it up, and you say each day is a blank canvas, and you are what? The artist. With every stroke of your brush, your thoughts and your actions, you have the opportunity to make this day your best work. So make this day your greatest masterpiece, but I challenge you to make this week your best week. And we see you next week on the Marlene Cox Show, WBGR TV, Roku TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. God bless you.
You are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.